Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fifth Quarter Sportscast. I'm Jared Judy. I'm here with my buddy Todd as usual.
Cheers.
He's indulging on some 1800. I think, would you finish 3 bottles so far?
Just 2.
Just 2. All right. Well, maybe we'll finish the third by the end. So we're about the halfway point here of the NFL season. So we got some 5 highlights to kind of run through here, and then we'll talk about some division breakdowns since we're at the halfway point, and then we'll talk about maybe some stud, no plural, just one, and some duds. But with that being said, let's dive right in. So to recap the Philadelphia game from Thursday night, we had the Eagles and the Texans. The Eagles squeeze out the 29-17 win. What did you think of that game? I didn't expect it to be that close. I don't know if the Texans are just that good or the Eagles just played that bad, but I was expecting a bigger beating in that game, to be honest.
That's pretty good. You figure, 12 points in the NFL, that's a good win.
It's true, but then when you...
Especially for a Thursday night game. Good Lord.
Granted, it was easily, hands down, one of the best Thursday night games we've had this whole season so far. But, I mean, by far the most scoring we've seen on a Thursday night game. God, can you imagine how many field goals you'd have to get to 29 points?
It's a lot of Jake Elliott.
Yeah. But no, I just, you see how the Chiefs are blowing people out. I was kind of expecting that same thing, the way that the Eagles have been running over people, and it being the Texans. But, it was actually a decent game. It was a lot more competitive than I was expecting it to be.
It's not bad for the gambling standpoint of things because, let's see, 12 points. Spread was 13.5. Over-under was 46.5. Total was 46. Take the under. Always take the under. I tell you this every goddamn time. Always take the under. I did not expect Houston to cover the spread, though.
Yeah. I think, that was probably the most impressive thing. I wasn't expecting them to really put up any points, to be honest. But I think probably one of the more impressive things from my perspective that I saw was Dameon Pierce. Everyone's been touting that Philly D is, a tough defense, but Dameon Pierce, he's the real deal workhorse there in Houston. He went 27 for 139 against a tough Philly D, and that was pretty impressive. If they have anything to hang their hat on, it's their running game looked pretty darn good.
Rookie can run.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a scrub team. That Philly D's played some decent fronts, so that spoke some good volume there. But the other high point of that game is obviously the record. Philly now undefeated, 9-0 or 8-0, I guess, for the first time in franchise history. It's kind of hard to believe that's the first time in franchise history, but nonetheless. So we'll see how long they can keep that streak going and keep the 72 Dolphins on ice. I don't think it's going to matter. At some point, they'll trip up. But for now, they look like one of the top few teams in the league. I don't see too many flaws with them.
That division's tough. It's crazy.
It's definitely surprised me. I wasn't expecting that to be that tough. But moving on here, we got your money bag here, your bread and butter, the Bengals.
Oh,
yeah,
Bengals.
No. The other one. The Bengals couldn't be any more bipolar if they tried. They looked pretty decent. What was it, 2 weeks ago with Burrow putting up 500 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns. And then they look like a JV team against the Browns. And then this week they show up and they just roll right over. They roll.
Panthers.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to mention something about the midget, but yeah, they rolled right through them.
There was a Baker sighting this weekend.
Honestly, it was pretty much ball game by like 10 minutes into the game. Like it was over.
I was enjoying it, owning a share of Joe Mixon in fantasy, watching him score 4 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that, but
I felt it move a little bit.
But that's just because I was facing you. So, and you had Mixon and I didn't. So, but yeah, we were at the Hall of Fame for the Green Bay Detroit debacle, and we were watching that game with Hall of Famer Leroy Butler. and they had like 3 or 4 screens on, and obviously Green Bay and Detroit, that dumpster of a game was on the main screen, but sitting right next to my left was the Bengals game, and it seemed like every time Aaron Rodgers threw a touchdown, Mixon was in the end zone. So at least I had a view of a decent game to watch. But yeah, I mean, looking at that one, it was like way out of hand really quick. But talking about some records, we mentioned Philly with their franchise record. Mixon sets a record for the most touchdowns in one game with 5. So that's pretty impressive. But with that being said, we'll see which bipolar part of the Bengals shows up next week, because it seems like they're very one-sided. They're very inconsistent, but they had a heck of a week this week.
Luckily, they faced the Pittsburgh Steelers, so you can mark that for a W.
Yeah, well, then with that being said, at least maybe there'll be maybe that'll be the kickoff to have some sort of consistency moving forward, because Pittsburgh's trash. They are horrible this year.
Week 1 redemption.
They're everybody's punching bag. God, I hope it doesn't go to field goal city again. That's a miserable watch. It would be fun to see Mixon get 6 touchdowns this week, because A, I'm not facing him, and B, it's against a rival.
Please,
so
God.
I'll let you have that one, because I'm not facing him.
I'd settle for 3.
I would settle for 1 touchdown between anybody on my roster, but that's a whole nother dumpster to tackle. But we'll get there. So moving on, we got the Jets upset the Bills. Gonna be honest, definitely didn't see that one coming.
I called it in the first episode. Everybody needs to go back and listen. I called this.
The Jets, huh?
I called it.
I'm sure you did. Did you call the Jets and the Steelers in the championship? Is that what it was?
Nostradamus. I got you, buddy. You guys got to tune in.
Yeah, I think I missed that part. I must have fell asleep. But yeah, I was kind of. Granted, I saw it firsthand, obviously, when they played Green Bay and they smacked them around. But it's hard to really gauge how good a team is when they're playing Green Bay, because everybody, I mean, you could have a JV team smack around Green Bay at this point. But they had a...
Dude, this game, Josh Allen throws 0 touchdowns.
That's the thing that was the most shocking to me.
He ran for 2, which is whatever. But I don't know what the hell is going on, because the 2 interceptions that I saw him throw were the 2 worst passes not thrown by either a Browns wide receiver or Baker Mayfield all season long. I'm watching it. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, that was also on at the Hall of Fame. That was one of the other games that I was kind of glancing at back and forth when I was getting bored with Green Bay. And, I was very confused by that game. Granted, again, the Jets have a really good defense, surprisingly, this year. But he was doing
sauce.
He was doing very uncharacteristic Josh Allen things. Like the passes he was throwing, I've never seen him throw. I don't know. I was confused. But yeah, hey, I mean, props to the Jets. They got to win against a division rival, so that definitely keeps them in the hunt, at least in that division crown. But I think the biggest story is obviously Josh Allen injuring his UCL. And I know they were talking on the radio this morning on ESPN whether or not it would be a surgery situation or if it would be something that just, pain management throughout the season. But with the way he throws those bombs, could it get worse to the point where he's not usable? And they were talking about who the backup could be to come in and fill in for him. Somebody said Matt Barkley was on the depth chart somewhere. I didn't realize he was still playing.
I remember him.
Yeah, I do too, but I didn't realize he was still playing. But let's be honest, that offense isn't the same without him throwing the ball and him running the ball. And with him off the field, it's not the same offense. But then somebody said, well, what about if you just line up like a Matt Barkley or somebody else at quarterback and then just hand it off to Josh Allen and use him as a running back, because that's primarily 50% of what he does anyway. But you're not going to put the face of your franchise as a running back. That's just stupid. But man, I don't know what they're going to do if this becomes like a long-term lingering thing.
The Ravens and the Bears would disagree with you, Jared. They would have an argument that their quarterback is a hell of a running back.
It's true. But then again, I'll put it this way. It's Chicago by necessity and Baltimore by choice. Because Chicago has until Chase Claypool, which whether you want to say that's a weapon or not, the Bears had no options and their offensive line sucked. So by default, he had to run every play.
Claypool makes a hell of a decoy.
It's true. we'll see how it pans out. I mean, they put up a hell of a lot of points this week.
My money is on Case Keenum taking over when Josh Allen goes down.
Is that who the backup is now?
He's on there. He's on the roster. He might be number 3 in the depth chart, but he's number 1 in my heart.
I'll put it this way: I think he's had the most recent snaps, because I can't remember the last time I've seen Barkley take a snap. So if that's the case, and it's between Keenum and Barkley, obviously you got to go with Keenum. I don't feel good about it, but you got to go that route. Yeah, I don't know. That game was just completely confusing to me. It was definitely something I didn't see coming, didn't expect it. Especially with, like we said, I don't know the last time. I don't know. I don't have the stats, and I'd be curious to see what it was. When's the last time Josh Allen has not thrown a touchdown in a game? Like that would be impressive.
Yeah, we should have our little lackey over here. Jamie, take a look at that. Look into that.
Jamie, get on that. But yeah, that kind of wraps that one up for me. I was just kind of dumbfounded by that game. But then Seattle, and we'll just touch base on this real quick here, but Seattle surprisingly looks a hell of a lot better without Russ. And they win 4 straight. They win 4 straight, and everybody was kind of saying they were tanking this year and going for a quarterback since they traded the franchise guy away. But they look a hell of a lot better without him than Denver does with him. So I don't think they're regretting that move at all.
You can't even say it's Kenneth Walker, because Rashad Penny, when he was in there, was absolutely lighting it up.
He looked like
so much that I owned a share of Kenneth Walker, and I dropped him because Rashad Penny was looking so good. Pete Carroll's offense. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, Penny looked like an animal. Like, he easily looked like possibly a top 3 running back before he got injured.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Phenomenal. And then you had the mobility of Geno Smith and being able to, extend plays with his legs. I mean, that's what you want. That's what you want in an offense. And they didn't have that for whatever reason with Russ. So, yeah, they definitely look a hell of a lot better. I didn't see that one coming, and everybody was saying they were tanking, but my God, they're proving everybody wrong. And I don't know if Kyler's playing some Call of Duty and not hitting the playbooks, or if, Cliff Kingsbury, he's got the wrong playbook. But something's not right there. I mean, the only positive I think right there on that offense is Hopkins, but you got to get somebody to get Hopkins the ball, and when he gets the ball, he's phenomenal. But God, that offense, I don't know what to do with them. Like, they're a mess. But with that being said, we'll move on and we'll touch we'll hit your next touch point here with Kansas City. I know when I texted you about this earlier, you had said that you hadn't got a chance to watch it yet. I'm just dumbfounded how many times Kansas City continues to fall behind by double digits every single week. And I even text you. I don't remember what the score was. It might have been like 17-3 or 17. It was 17 something. And I'm like, well, we got about, what was it, like 7 minutes left in the game. I said, time for the KC to turn their magic on and come back and win by 3. That is exactly what happened. They tied it up. They went into overtime, got the ball, went down, and they ended up scoring, and they won the game. That's exactly what happened. Like, it's just funny to me to watch the odds change as the game goes on, even if you're not going to put any money on it. Because at one point when it was like 17-3, 17-0, the Chief odds were huge since they were down by so much. So that's when you go put money on them, because they're coming back to take advantage of those odds. And damn near, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. I did the same thing a couple weeks ago when they did the same thing. But it's like this has to catch up at some point, right? Like, this isn't sustainable. Now, granted, I've said that, and everyone has said that for years, and yet they still keep proving us wrong. But my God, something's got to give at some point, right? Like, you can't keep getting double digits, digging yourself into a hole, wait until the last half of the fourth quarter and somehow pull out a win. Like, something's got to give at some point. It's going to catch up. I mean, I would think it's got to catch up, but my God, it hasn't.
The few highlights I saw from that game included Travis Kelce literally mugging the DB.
No, that wasn't. No, it was a DB. No, it wasn't pass interference. That wasn't pass. No.
It is pass interference when your helmet's stuck in the man's hand and he can't catch a pass.
Well, it's pass interference.
Your helmet is stuck on his hand because he just ripped it off of you, bludgeoned you like William Wallace in Braveheart, and then, oh, Jesus Christ. What an absolute joke.
That was just pass interference on the defender because he took his helmet off and it was in the wide receiver's view of the ball. So that's why
right.
it was
15 yards for breathing Travis Kelce's air.
I was waiting for you to respond on that one when you saw the highlights. I was like, because I know you had said you hadn't watched it yet. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm waiting for Todd to see this. He's going to flip out. And like I had mentioned earlier, granted, not that I'm trying to, make any excuses for Green Bay because, God, they look like trash now. But I saw online and I saw the game last week. Robert Tonyan did something similar, and it was flagged as pass interference when the defender fell down. Yet Travis Kelce literally has his fist in the guy's face, ripping his helmet off, basically doing everything short of giving him the good old Myles Garrett bunk on the head. Nope, pass interference on the defender.
Absolutely insane. Fun fact. Patrick Mahomes was two attempts away from tying the NFL record for most passing attempts in a game.
I did see that. It was
Tennessee.
Like, what the heck was it? It was
68.
I was going to say it was in the 60s somewhere, and I forget
68 pass attempts. Are you?
Who hit the 70? Who hit it? I can't.
Bledsoe.
That's right, Bledsoe. I was going to say, I didn't remember if it was Brady or Bledsoe. I remember it was Patriots. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, what? They're going to throw it every freaking play. Like, why? This isn't anything new. They're throwing it. It's like the opposite of Green Bay's game a couple weeks ago. We know they can't throw, so we're going to just stack the box and make them pass because we know they have to run the ball. Like, this is the opposite. They're not going to run the ball. That's all they're going to do is pass. And yet, somehow Kelce runs down the field wide open. Yet, somehow Marquez Valdez-Scantling's wide open. Somehow CEH is 15 yards downfield doing jumping jacks. Like, what is going on? And it's every play. I don't get it. I don't know how you defend it. And clearly Tennessee didn't either.
I can't believe it. That's without Tyreek Hill.
But, the funny thing is, though, Tennessee played a really good defense because there was that many pass attempts.
Tennessee's defense is legit. Tennessee has a very good defense.
Exactly. They played very good defense that Kansas City couldn't run the ball at all, obviously. But the whole game, like, Mahomes was underthrowing people. Balls were getting batted. Like, he looked like he was struggling. And then all of a sudden, the last 7 minutes, it was like, yeah, we got this one wrapped up. Let's pull our first stringers off or something because they played a whole different game the last 7-8 minutes of that game. It's like the defense forgot how to play the game plan they've been playing for 3.5 quarters.
Like, just keep helmet stuck on Travis's hands.
Yeah, well, that was the downfall right there. Like, oh, we can't even keep our helmets on at this point. Let's wrap it up.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think of that, but again, let's just what do we say? Consistency. Well,
that's the key.
As not to keep going back to that, but considering they're so bad, I've heard the Packers, a lot of the coaching staff say the only thing that they're consistent at this year is inconsistent play. The only thing consistent with the refs this year, it seems like, is inconsistent calls from ref to ref and game to game every week. But we'll move on to the Monday night game, and Lamar and Baltimore they're still hot, still rolling, and Dalton still continues to struggle, throwing balls all over the place, throwing picks left and right, under pressure all night long. I don't know if you watch the Manning cast at all or if you watch the regular TV copy.
I always watch Manning cast.
Did you see his reaction the one time where he just got blindsided by like 3 guys? Dalton. Manning's like, oh, he's got, get rid of it, throw it. And then it got sandwiched, and he's like, oh. like it's every play, every single play. And I don't even know what's going on right now. Is that Andy Dalton holding the ball too much? Is that the offensive line being able to hold the blocks? I don't know. But
Taysom Hill was 1 for 1.
Taysom Hill, when he scores his 4 touchdowns a game, or
win, but Taysom's been.
Or I feel like you need to trademark that and put it on a shirt. If it's not Taysom Hill or Kamara or Olave, I don't know what you're going to do. Like, those are your guys, but you got to have Dalton to be able to stop getting killed in there to get the ball to him. Man, he just looks bad. He looks bad. He's a shell of what he was in Cincinnati, and he really wasn't great in Cincinnati. I don't know. I thought they were going to be better, but yeah, I mean, Baltimore still continues to roll. Unfortunate for you. Unfortunate for you, but Lamar looks tough.
I keep playing the Little Sisters of the Poor. They're not going to win anything, which is fine. I just want them to get far enough, either just into the playoffs to where it screws them on the draft. I sure as hell don't want them winning in the playoffs. They're going to win the division, but ugh.
Oh, you're kind of like me with Minnesota. I hope that they get to the point of where they end up playing Philly or something like that, or maybe your Giants in the NFC Championship, and then they get beat. Just close enough, just to almost taste it, and then get beat. There's
call them my Giants one more time, Terry.
Yeah.
Hold on. Call them my Giants one more time.
There's nothing that made me happier the year when Favre went to Minnesota than when they were just a play away from going to the Super Bowl, and he did his trademark throw across the body right into the arms of the Saints to lose the season. Like, you couldn't have been any closer to not making it. And as a Packers fan, I loved every minute of it. So we'll go ahead and end that section there, and we'll move on to some of the breaking news that's kind of between the games and then came out this week. So I know we already talked about Philly with their franchise record for the first time in franchise history. We talked about Mixon setting the record for most touchdowns in a game. Brady sets yet another record. I think they're starting to run out of pages in that record book for him, but he sets another record for first person to reach 100,000 yards passing. I am honestly shocked he hasn't gotten that one already.
Yeah, and he announced he's coming back next season.
I'm sure he's going to come out on a walker.
He's got the family out of the way now. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, there's
he
nothing.
And Jeff Bezos will be starting their own league in the Venus or Neptune or the dwarf planet Pluto.
Him and Jay-Z?
I hope so. And Kanye. Yeah. I'd rather have Kanye involved than to get him some money back. He got a bad rap. You can buy White Lives Matter t-shirts on our fifth quarter sportscast pro shop.
Well, we're not even going to get to episode 10. We're not even going to get popular enough to get canceled.
Fine. Just like God wanted it.
Oh, boy. But anyway, yeah, so Brady sets another record. No surprise there. When you play in the league for 55 years, eventually you're going to have every record under the sun. But, it goes without saying. But then the breaking news, what was it, yesterday, 2 days ago? The Colts decided, you know what, it's not working, and they kick Frank Reich out. So he's done.
As of recording this, like yesterday or today.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Because yesterday morning, they canned him. And then out of the blue, they decided, you know what, let's get a guy with no experience. Jeff Saturday, have you coached? Nope, come on in. You're our guy. Like, I was completely caught off guard with that one. Like, of all the people you could have picked, it's typically always somebody on staff. They typically don't go outside the building, especially mid-season. But the fact that the guy has zero experience, he can't do any worse. But I hope he does good. I always liked him, but yeah, kind of caught me off guard on it. Didn't see that one coming. I did like the Manning cast when Sean Payton was on, and he said, I think, before they offered it the Saturday, I hope they called you and cleared it with you first. Like, why would, obviously Peyton's got 1.5 million things he's doing, but I hope that was at least an option you considered before you jumped right into Jeff Saturday's lap.
That would have been cool.
I
did read about him talking about how Schefter knows everything. Schefter was the one that told him that he was getting released.
Yeah, he knew before he did. Yeah, Schefter knew before he did. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to think of Indianapolis. I can't figure them out. You got Jonathan Taylor, who is completely irrelevant this year. You've had a quarterback carousel. I'm sure you couldn't. The quarterback carousel I mean, you brought in Carson Wentz. I don't know why you thought that was going to be a good move. You had Phillip Rivers the year before that, and then you bring in Matt Ryan, like all these veterans, and they're not working. And then it just seems like a very desperate move at this point to just jump right into a guy who's never coached, never coordinated, like nothing. Not to say that he's not qualified. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he'll turn out to be okay. But what happens if he is awful? Like, I'm curious to see what the contract negotiations is. Like, is he going to be there again next year to get a full year? Because right now he's playing on all this junk draft picks from this year.
All I know, Jared, is listen, Lance Harbor didn't have any experience coaching before they got rid of Bud Kilmer for the West Canaan Coyotes. And
I can't wait to see where this analogy goes.
I'm pretty sure that Lance Harbor won them a game or two to get them that 5A trophy. You guys can go back and do some record checking on me, but I'm pretty sure experience means nothing. You either got it or you don't. Jeff Saturday, gall darn it, he's got it.
Well, there's just to point out a slight difference here is he at least was in the building with the team, so at least he knew the playbook. Hasn't been on the sideline in I don't even know how many years. So not only does he have to figure out how to run the team, but he's also got to learn who's on the team. So that's a little different situation.
It's true. But, he is out there tweeting about how bad the Raiders are.
God, the show to not be named was having a field day with that one. They said, "Oh my God!" As a pundit, as a ESPN analyst, as a reporter and media guy, that's what you do. You throw stuff out there because you want people to talk about it. Do you think that Jeff Saturday ever thought that would blow up in his face? And now he has the job, and who's their first game? The Raiders? Oh, shit.
It ain't going to blow up in his face because let me tell you something. Derek Carr, oh, my God. And those Raiders, gone. The Colts are going to win. Watch. You know what? Hold on. Let's place a bet. Let's put some. Yeah.
Look at your. One of the points you wanted to make that we didn't touch on was Devontae Adams had a hell of a game. If he plays like that, man, I don't know if the Colts will. I don't know. I don't know that the Colts have anybody that can match that.
Oh my God, dude! So I did watch a decent amount of that one, and I don't know. And somehow the Raiders still lost. By the way, I don't know what the hell the Jags defense was doing. It's like they forgot that number 17 was out there. Because I know at least I saw the one touchdown pass. Dear God, it's like he had an invisibility cloak on. People forgot who the hell he was. It was sickening. It was also sickening that I had Derek Carr and I dropped him before this week in our fantasy league. But it didn't matter.
It doesn't matter. All you needed was one guy on your roster, and that's all that mattered. But that's a good transition and a good segue here. So let's do some studs and duds real quick. So for the studs, we had hang on, who is it? I think it was Mixon, Mixon, and Mixon.
That's accurate.
Surprisingly, the votes right now, Mixon is leading the voting at 67%, while Mixon is bringing up second place at 33%. I had a write-in vote because I didn't see Joe Mixon on the ballot here. So
the shameful part is we can only have 4 spots. I figure anytime anybody gets 5 touchdowns, you should actually get a 5th.
That's hands down. No argument there. No disputing it. The only thing I could say was an honorable mention, and just because he's the only worthwhile player on that team, you got to give Justin Fields an honorable mention at least.
The only reason he wasn't an option is because there's assholes out there who who don't know, and they're just like, Justin Fields went to Ohio State. Certain people in our league who might vote.
Yeah. Well, the simple fact that he broke Mike Vick's rushing record with 178 yards, it's pretty damn impressive. It's nothing to sneeze at. But then again, when you look at the rest of the team, I mean, he was the team. Let's be honest. There was nobody else. But again, it's very hard, even though you had a career high and a franchise high, you still have a hard time beating 5 touchdowns. Sorry. I mean.
That's right. I mean, the only other ones this week, and at least as far as Yahoo standard scoring, also in that Mixon Fields echelon there would be Mahomes and Allen. But if a
I
quarterback
would
doesn't put up 45, you ain't getting it.
Well, and I have a very hard time even voting for Allen when it was one of the only games he hasn't thrown a touchdown. So I'd have a hard time trying to vote him over top of Mixon anyway.
Yeah, he wouldn't have even been a choice. He Yahoo's standard scoring, he only scored like 26 and some change. The other options would have been, like you mentioned, Devontae Adams, who showed up.
Yeah.
And actually, the Patriots defense this week in fantasy put up 26 points, which is crazy for a defense.
I feel like the last 3 or 4 weeks, defenses have had monster points. Like the top defenses have had like 2 or 3 times more production than some of the skilled players on average. Like that's not typical. But then looking at some of the duds, this is a little bit more of a discussion, a little bit harder to kind of beat around the bush here. But we got Nyheim Hines, new player in Buffalo, Drake London, Mike Gesicki, and Tyler Higbee. We got 3 votes for everybody but Higbee right now. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't vote for Hines because with him being on the team, for a limited amount of time, I wasn't sure how much production and how much of, if he was going to be on the snap count. So I wasn't expecting him to have a big day. I know he played a lot, but I wasn't expecting a lot. Drake London.
The other guy set the bar so low. Literally, if Nyheim Hines would have had 1 rush for 4 yards or a reception for 4 yards, he would have outscored all the other 3 combined.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, that's how low the Duds floor was. Drake London, when your Falcons team doesn't put up many points, I don't expect much from you either. Higbee, same thing goes for him. The Rams didn't put up barely any points, so I wasn't expecting much from him. I went with Gesicki because they put up a crap load of points, and yet he just couldn't find a way to get in the mix. Like, that was kind of the most impressive. Like, Tua's throwing the ball all over the place, and yet you weren't in the game plan. Like, that was kind of the biggest factor for me.
Tua was too busy underthrowing Tyreek Hill.
Well, not if you look at it in reverse when he's a right-handed quarterback.
Jesus Christ! I don't care how you're playing it. Holy shit! If Tyreek Hill had any quarterback who could actually get him the ball, that man would break every record receiving in the NFL that has ever been.
Well, he's also probably seen 3 Tyreeks out there, to be honest.
That's true. His brain has grown 5 sizes.
What's
the average?
What's that? Just throw to the one in the middle.
God, it's working, I guess. He's got the Grinch had his heart, and Tua's got his swollen brain. That season, Tua's brain grew. Holy shit!
It's the season.
God, it's right around the corner. Holy hell!
Oh man! All right, well, let's break down some run through since we're about the halfway point here of the NFL season. Let's run through some of the divisions since now some of the teams are starting to separate themselves and let's kind of see where the division standings are. We'll start in the AFC East. We got the Bills and Jets and the Dolphins all kind of right together. 6-2, the Bills.
Patriots 1 game out of first.
Yes, the Jets and the Dolphins tied at 6-3, and then the Patriots at 5-4. So, granted, I think it's kind of universally assumed that the Bills are going to walk away with that one, but it's a lot closer than I think people were expecting at the beginning of the year. And that Jets game that the Jets just beat the Bills, that really helped everybody else in the division because that kind of almost made it a leveling, for everybody else. But I think that all relies on how this UCL injury with Allen, how this pans out. If this turns out to be a long-term pain management thing, things could switch real quick. Things could flip real quick for them.
Yeah, Josh Allen's got a bad wing. Put a couple of burr holes into his skull, relieve some of that pressure. Shit, who knows? The Dolphins might be leading that division.
It's possible, or you could end up having Zach Wilson and his MILF club, or you could have was it Frank Zappa or Bailey Zappi or yeah, he might even step up to the podium and have a say. I don't know.
I know you own a Patriots number 4 jersey. Don't even say you don't.
I own nothing of Patriots, actually.
God damn it, they own you.
Oh boy. If they would have lost that game, I would have stopped watching the rest of this year. Anyway, let's move on to the AFC South. We got a little bit more of a deviation here. We got the Titans at 5-3, the Colts 3-5-1. Got to make sure you get that one in there. The Jags at 3-6, and the Texans at 1-6-1. I don't know. I think just because of Derrick Henry and the other three teams kind of seem like they don't know how to play football. I think the Jags are starting to level out to what we kind of expected them to be. I think Tennessee will run away with that division as long as Derrick Henry's healthy. And I think that's kind of what it boils down to. They don't have much of a passing game, really. I think it's just going to rely on Henry and that Tennessee defense.
Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, holy hell. I, honest to God, outside of the one who's been injured for however long, I could not tell you a Tennessee Titan wide receiver right now. If you put a gun to my head, I would not be able to list a Tennessee Titan wide receiver outside of Treylon Burks, who has literally done nothing.
Yeah, trust me, I know. He's been occupying my IR spot from the very beginning of the season.
Don't know why the hell you're holding on to him. Did you draft him?
I did, yes.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know that he's going to be a keeper. But regardless, when I look at the waiver in our league, it's not like I'm going to be able to pick up anybody better.
Oh my God! I'm like literally looking at their receivers right now. Oh my God!
It's pretty limited. The only other person I think you're going to recognize is the tight end, Hooper. It's the only one I think I'm going to recognize.
There's one guy. There's no way. I didn't. Honest to God, I swear to Christ, I didn't know this guy was actually still in the NFL. Robert Woods.
Yeah. Well, he just came back. He just came back from the knee injury.
Oh my God!
It's all Derrick. It's literally all Derrick Henry. That's all it is.
And they're going to win the division.
I mean, it's not like the Colts are going to make a run at it with Jonathan Taylor beat up, their offensive line looking like crap. They have Sam Ellinger at quarterback. They just fired their coordinator and their coach. They're not going to do anything.
I was
Jags.
8 years old when I found out who was wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans. Holy shit.
The Texans, they're a dumpster, and the Jags are, leveling out to what they typically are. So by default, that division is going to go to Tennessee, I assume.
The driest of balls.
Yeah. But moving on to a little bit more of a competitive division, let's move down to the AFC West. You got the Chiefs at 6-2, Chargers at 5-3, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't realize that they were that close to the Chiefs. You got the Broncos at 3-5, and bringing up the rear, you got the Raiders at 2-6, who probably should actually be 6-2 for as many games and leads as they've blown. I think it's fair to say the Chiefs are probably going to run away with that one as usual, as long as they keep playing, let's throw this game into the ground until about 4 minutes left in the game and then decide to play. But I don't know. Who do you think is going to take second in that? I honestly don't know between the Broncos and the Chargers, because I would have said potentially the Broncos just for the simple fact that they had a good defense, but now they let Chubb go. I don't really know what their defense is anymore. And their offense is miserable with all the injuries and Russ.
I know there's at least one more primetime event with Russell Wilson.
Oh, there is.
I've circled it on my calendar.
I also think there's another one of. I think there might be a primetime indie game too.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Dangerous on primetime. I miss him. I want him to be part of my Thursday night routine.
You realize you're the only one, right?
Oh man, me and Ciara, we're sitting there, we're ready for it.
Denver doesn't want to even watch it.
Me, Ciara, and Roger Goodell, we're the biggest number 3 fans that ever lived.
You, her, and Russ.
He does. He is his own fan. He does. He counts. He counts.
He has his own team. Team 3.
Oh Lord. Yeah. No, dude. It should be the Chiefs. The Chiefs. It's the Chiefs' world. We're just living in it.
It's their division to lose at this point. If they screw it up, it's on them.
If they screwed up, it's them beating themselves and the refs, because after what I saw this past weekend, holy shit.
Well, let's move into your wheelhouse at the AFC North. You got the Ravens at 6-3, Bengals at 5-4, right behind. You got the Browns right behind them at 3-5, and as much as you absolutely love it, I'm sure Steelers at 2-6. When's the last time you seen Pittsburgh at the 4th spot? That's
not long. Yeah,
it's not common. I'm sure there's a good chance though, until they get things figured out, they might be at that spot for a little while.
I hope so. They're terrible, and all their fans are terrible. And if you're one of the 32 people who listen to the show and you're a Steelers fan, stop listening to the show, because the fucking Steelers are trash and we don't like you. I'm sorry, not sorry.
Well,
They're hot
honestly,
garbage.
and honestly, if Baltimore decides they can't figure out how to pay Lamar, then they might be at the 3 spot, right ahead of the Steelers.
God, I don't understand how the Ravens have a 6-3 record right now. It doesn't make sense to me. The Bengals are garbage. They're not going to win the division. What I am excited about is
Oh boy, here we go.
Deshaun Watson. Circle it on your calendars.
I think we just lost 31 listeners.
Listen, it's fine. It's fine. I'll listen. I'll create new accounts just so I can listen and get our numbers up. Listen, December 4th, Deshaun Watson at Houston. Get your masseuse ready.
I was gonna say, do you think he
will be flowing? Happy endings, Cleveland. This is happening, baby.
I was gonna say, do you think he gets his pregame massage to loosen up all those tight muscles before the game for old time's sake?
Pregame, halftime, shit. Commercial breaks. When the guy with the orange mitts comes out on the field, I'll tell you right now, somebody's going to be putting some mitts on his dick because it's happening. This is happening.
Well,
Deshaun Watson's about to get loose.
Well, it'll look like when the Giants played the Packers over in London. I'm sure you saw that meme where that guy was trying to get icy hot or something on his leg, and all you saw was the view behind. That'll be going on in the blue tent. All you're going to see is a trail of people going in one on one side, coming out the other.
That's all I need.
So do you think he's going to try to bring a new lineup from Cleveland, or do you think he's going to, hey, new phone, who dis in Houston?
I hope he keeps up all the old spots because homeboy was slinging it when he was a Texan. He got all that money. I don't even get. He can pay them all. I don't give a shit. As long as he wins, I wouldn't count the Browns out.
Oh, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how that division pans out because the Browns have so much talent. They just can't put it together on the same game at the same time. But
dude, oh my God, Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, if Amari Cooper,
all you have to do, you don't need Cooper. You don't need Deshaun Watson. You literally have one of the top 5, if not the top 3 offensive lines. Just give the ball to Chubb and let him run. You don't even need Watson. Just give the ball to the guy that runs over 7 people before he falls. That's all you need to do. I don't know why they don't do it.
That's what me personally, and I'll tell you right now, like I just said 8 minutes ago.
You could have Matt Barkley hand the ball off, for God's sake. You don't need a $250 million quarterback to do that. You could we could hand the ball off to Nick Chubb for $1.
I do it in style. What if anything has shown you this? It's the Tennessee Titans.
Bingo.
And their 5-3 record because holy shit, dude. They even asked Derrick Henry who the best running back in the NFL was. His response: Nick Chubb.
I said this last year. I don't remember if it was you or if it was another one of my friends or cousins or whatever. Baker sucks. We've established that. He's garbage. When Green Bay played Cleveland on Christmas last year, I was afraid we were going to get beat by Cleveland because Green Bay's run defense was horrid. Baker's shoulder was beat up. The whole first 3.5 quarters, they couldn't stop Chubb. Chubb was ripping off 6-7 yards a carry. And I'm just like, oh my God, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose this. And then for whatever God knows reason, Stefanski said, hey, guess what? You had a good day. Go take the bench. When it comes down to that last drive, he's on the sideline with a coat, and you're relying on the guy with one shoulder who's injured, who you don't like, to throw the ball, which then gets picked, sealing the win. All I said was, how did you guys not win that game on the legs of Nick Chubb? That's literally all you had to do because we didn't have an answer. If you would have just ran the ball with Chubb, we would have lost. You would have walked out of there with a win. Instead, you gave it to Baker, and you tried to purposely make him look like trash to get him out of the building the next year.
No, trust me, that's it. But that's it, though, right?
It is. It has to be. It has to be because there's no other reasoning for it that logically makes sense other than that. So it has to be. Because why would you not put? Why would you not? Why would you not? Why would you not put your workhorse that's proven for 3.5 quarters? This is how you're going to beat them, and they can't prove to stop it. Why would you stop? Nobody in their right mind would do that.
Because then you're saddled with number 6 for at least another season. You put yourself back. I'm telling you, That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
And I told you that when I saw the end of that game, I'm like, granted, as a Packers fan, I loved it. I was so happy that we finally, that we hung on long enough to get that win and that interception. But then I'm also dumbfounded. I'm like, you guys realize you just blew the game for a stupid reason. Like, that was the dumbest decision you made that cost you the game. Like, you easily could have.
I was pissed. I was real pissed. But now I'm happy because I know we got this pervert waiting there. Like, he's just drooling, dude. He's just ready. He's ready. And then
that's what everybody was saying most of last year and even this year. Why are we not running him? Why are we not running him? Why is he on the sideline? Like, for the life of me at the time, I didn't realize that there was that much strife between Stefanski and Baker. But I kept texting all the people, friends, cousins that are Browns fans. Why is he on the sideline all the time in games down the stretch? Why is he on the sideline? Why are they not using him? I mean, and then I even said to one of my friends, I said, there's obviously something going on between Stefanski and Baker, because why else would you be throwing a guy out there that you already know is hurt when you have a Clydesdale, Lamborghini, whatever you want to call him, on the sideline? Why are you not using him? Why are you using a guy that's a gimp? And he's like, no, there's nothing going on. There's no issues. That's all rumors. I'm like, well, I don't understand why you would do that if there wasn't an issue. But yeah, long story short, they don't need a good quarterback. They just need to use the weapon they have. But
that's right.
With that being said, let's move on to the NFC real quick. We'll run through these. Start with the NFC East. We got the Eagles undefeated 8-0. We got Dallas 6-2. They play Green Bay this week. They're soon to be 7-2. They got the Giants at 6-2, and the Commanders, Carson Wentz, Dan Snyder, bringing up the rear at 4-5. I think the only thing that's going to get in the Eagles' way is the Eagles, because as long as they keep playing that tough defense, I think they'll be all right. But it'll be interesting to see when it comes down later in the season when Dallas, if they keep winning and they get OBJ, and
that's happening.
And then Philadelphia, if they keep winning, it'll be interesting to see that division race down the stretch.
Oh, absolutely. I haven't been this excited about the NFC since, holy shit. Yeah.
The 80s.
That's right. Doug Williams.
I mean, granted,
Chris
I don't really.
Sims. No, Phil Sims. Holy shit! Which one's older?
I would assume Phil. If anatomy and logistics tells you anything, I would assume it's Phil.
Jesus Christ, I think that guy's a vampire.
There's possible, yeah. But I mean, honestly, I have no ties to anybody in the NFC East. I absolutely hate Dallas just because I'm tired of hearing about them. They're so overhyped every single year. They get into the playoffs and they choke. Like, prove it once, and then I'll buy in. But every single year they choke. So until I see otherwise, I'm not gonna put my stock in it. But I'll tell you what, that defense is nasty. That defense and Philly's defense have to be the two, if not the best two defenses in the NFC right now.
Parsons, Diggs, damn.
When you got Darius Slay on the Philly side, I mean,
Slay's good.
He's
damn good.
You got a couple interception monsters between those two defenses.
It's nice. You didn't mention anybody about Giants, by the way, but
when you got Danny Dimes and Saquon Barkley, what else do you need? That's all you need.
You're a real bastard, Jared. Oh man.
Well, we'll move on to the other interesting division. You got the NFC South.
Yes, interesting. That's how I describe it.
You got the Bachelor. There's the Bachelor in Tampa at 4-5.
I
at
said
4-5.
Yeah, let's not talk numbers.
Yeah. Also,
they're winning the division.
Yeah. Also tied with Atlanta at 4-5. Just behind them is the Saints at 3-6, and then the Baker Panthers, Carolina at 2-7.
Baker's back. Save your Confederate money, folks. The South will rise again.
I don't know. I think this is probably the worst I've seen the Saints in a long time. I honestly figured the Saints would have been a little bit more of a push here to separate themselves, but
God, they're one game out of first. They got this.
But with Dalton, that's what blows my mind. You get Jameis in there, I think it's a different story. Because at least
whoa. Number 7, baby. BYU. Put the Cougar in. You got Taysom Hill back there. He's an untapped resource, homie.
Yeah,
he
but
doesn't
if you
touch the ball 12 times, they lose.
yeah, but if you put Jameis out there, then he could be passing all those nice little shovel passes to Taysom.
Oh my God, Winston. He throws more picks than.
Don't say Andy Dalton. Don't say Andy Dalton.
I think he does.
Right now, Dalton's leading the league probably in interceptions. I mean, my God, I've seen him throw 3 picks, 2 pick sixes in less than 2 minutes.
Free Seafood University. Holy shit!
Boy, there's a reference I haven't heard in a long time.
Oh my God, Jameis Winston. He should. Let Andy spin. He probably won't win, but let Andy spin.
Yeah,
it's better for Kamara. I'll tell you that.
I mean, I guess it's only good for Kamara if Dalton can get the ball to him before he gets hit.
Ugh. The NFC South is absolutely horrible.
The NFC South almost reminds me of the NFC West, the year that the Seattle Seahawks hosted at 7-9.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of reminds me of that again.
That's exactly what it is.
But speaking of the West, we'll move to them right now. We have the Seahawks at 6-3, Niners at 4-4, which kind of caught me off guard. I didn't expect. I figured they would have been a little bit better than 4-4. You got the Rams at 3-5, and the Cardinals at 3-6. I would not be surprised if San Fran and Seattle flip. But, I mean, Seattle's defense is pretty good still. Kenneth Walker's pretty good. But, my God, with all the weapons that San Fran has, it's almost inevitable.
Do they have the mental weapon that is Pete Carroll? I say nay, sir. Seattle Seahawks, NFC West champions.
I mean, they do have Christian McCaffrey, though, who's a Swiss Army knife. So, I don't know. I don't know what that does for you.
Pete Carroll's a mental bazooka. I'll take him over the Swiss Army knife any day of the week. You're bringing a knife to a fucking missile fight, motherfucker.
I see your Pete Carroll, and I raise you someone half his age.
Speaking of vampires, listen, Pete Carroll, he's got that young blood. He's still banging USC co-eds. I don't know how he does, allegedly. I don't know how he does it. Man, Geno Smith, for God's sake. Two top 5 NFL running backs in one season.
Him and Urban Meyer.
Kenneth Walker. Jesus Christ. Then you got the thoroughbred out there, number 14. DK Metcalf. Holy Christ on a cross. Ain't nothing beating Seattle. Honest to God, I don't think Buffalo. I don't think Kansas City. You know what?
Let's go back and reference episode.
Right now.
Let's go reference episode 1. Weren't your picks Tampa and San Fran? Wasn't that the picks?
That's before they were tainted by Christian McCaffrey. I didn't know that trade was going to happen. This is back when I thought Deebo Samuel was running the show. I'm the captain now, and I'm telling you right now, I'm going to the Church of Pete Carroll, and I'm praying every Sunday.
So you heard it here, folks. Get your stock in and on some bubble yum. Big League Chew. Get your bets in now.
I'm going to try to get Pete Carroll on this episode. I'm one of these episodes. I'm going to reach out.
You're going to have to bribe him with a lot of gum.
That's fine. We know some girls in Southern Cal. We'll get him.
Let's move on before we don't get to episode 9.
Is there an NFC Central?
No, there's an NFC North, which has turned out to be just as much of a dumpster as the South.
Lord.
You got the Vikings running away with it at 7-1. They're 5 games ahead of everybody else. You got the Packers and the Bears at 3-6, who just separate themselves by a half a game. It's disgusting. And then you got the Lions at 2-6. I would honestly not be surprised if it was Detroit and Green Bay at this point battling it out for who's 4th in that division. They both look pretty awful. They're bad.
Good Lord.
Minnesota's got a really good defense. Their offense, they're flooded with weapons, and Justin Jefferson's a monster. If Dalvin Cook can stay healthy, and now you got, what's his name? Ice Cousins. Yeah, Ice Cousins. If he can stop throwing stupid bonehead plays, I mean, I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them win, but I don't see how they're not going to. they're going to already run away with the division. The division's locked up at this point.
All you did was solidify the fact that I need to add Alexander Madison to every single fantasy roster I own.
Well, Dalvin Cook hasn't gotten hurt yet, so it's inevitable. His time's coming. His time's coming.
They've got like a 19-game lead on everybody else in the division. Holy shit. I'm surprised Kirk Cousins is still playing. And Justin Jefferson? You may as well rest his ass for the playoffs.
They could have rested him after week 5.
And they got Hawkinson.
Which that stat caught me off guard when I was reading about Hawkinson and going to Minnesota. They said that I thought it was either the lowest or top 5 lowest teams was Minnesota for tight end usage. Now, granted, I don't know if that's because Irv Smith has been beat up all year or just because their play calling and their scheming, their system doesn't include tight ends. I don't know, but I was kind of interested to see how versatile Hawkinson is going to turn out to be in that compared to where he was at Detroit, because it's all Justin Jefferson. Hell, Adam Thielen barely even has a role anymore.
Right, you tell me about it. Until, week 12 when they can actually bench everybody, and then all of a sudden Thielen's a stud, Madison's a stud, and Jesus Christ, whoever the third string quarterback for the Vikings is, David Blau. I think they're going to really turn it around here.
They might just put
Chad Powers.
He's out of eligibility, I heard. No,
they're gonna do it.
They might just put Joseph, the kicker, back there, and just let him do. Wow. Just let him do kicks. Oh, just first down, we're gonna kick it.
Keep it interesting.
I don't know. All right, so
it sucks. I'm sorry, dude.
It's bad. No, we didn't have a chance after week 3 or 4. It was already done.
I didn't realize it until I really saw it in black and white. Eesh.
Yeah. So now, with that being said, let's do some picks here, and then we'll break it down in another 3 or 4 weeks. Right now, AFC. Who's your AFC champion between the two? Who's going to the championship between the AFC?
It all depends on number 17's right arm, but the Bills.
And who are they playing?
Chiefs.
I think that's probably
it's what everybody wants. It's what people want to see it.
I think that's possibly what's going to happen, but I'm going to go off on a limb here, and I'm going to say,
God damn it! I hope you say the Titans.
Say the Titans, you son of a bitch. I'm going to say the Chiefs and Texans. No. The Chiefs, and I'll say
Mattress Mac over here is putting $75 million down on the fucking Astros.
I will say the Chiefs and the Dolphins AFC championship.
Wow.
With the additions that they made to the defense, and they got Tyreek Hill and they got Waddle, and if Tua can keep, somewhat at least 50% sane.
You can unscramble those eggs. Sure, yeah. I can see the Dolphins in there.
We'll mark it down, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks and see where we're at. NFC, what do you got? This one actually seems a little bit harder than it was a few weeks ago.
It does, doesn't it? You pussy. You know what? Fuck you.
We already know you're going to say. We know you're going to say Giants and who?
No, Niners Bucks. Niners Bucks. You want to know why? Because how many playoffs has Jalen Hurts been to? He ain't shit.
So wait a minute. Does that mean your Pete Carroll's not making it?
No, I like Pete Carroll. I do like Pete Carroll. You're right. I forgot about Pete Carroll.
You just went on a tirade about him.
Yeah, in search of Pete Carroll. I'm gonna have to go this week, and I'm gonna have to say some Hail Pete's, Hail Mary. I'm gonna have to throw some co-eds through his fucking window. The thing is, I got to stick to it. I got to stick to the Niners and the Bucks because I'll tell you why. There ain't anybody in the NFL that's got more. You could take 2 people in the NFL that don't have as many rings as Tom Brady. Don't count them out. Bucks, that division's garbage, by the way. They're winning that division. Bucks, Niners, because I called it week 1. I got to stand by it. I haven't seen anything other than Jalen Hurts and his got his swole on.
I'll say. So you're going to say Bucks Niners.
I'm still saying Bucks Niners because I saddled my
I
got to ride them.
I will say Niners.
Wow. Okay.
Niners and
you're okay. I swayed one.
I mean, I already thought they were going to anyway before they got Christian McCaffrey.
Okay, all right.
Let's see.
You're not bold enough to say the Bucks, though.
No, I'm not taking the Bucks.
You know you want to say the Eagles. You know you want to go Eagles.
Well, I'm kind of tossing up right now between the Vikings and the Eagles because they both have pretty decent defenses.
The Vikings are tough, man. The Vikings have a clear path.
I'm gonna say the Vikings. Unfortunately, I hope it doesn't happen, and I hope I'm wrong. And the only reason I'm going to say the Vikings instead of the Eagles is because I think have the Eagles played Dallas twice yet? I don't think they've played twice yet, have they?
The Eagles. Let's take a look at the Eagles. Hold on, because I got news for you on the Vikings. You're going to know a lot more about the Vikings after this week. I'll tell you that right now.
They did. They played in week 6, and Philly beat them 26-17. My thinking was that they're probably going to split with Dallas, and then they could potentially lose.
Man.
They could lose to the Giants and split. But then again, I think I think the Eagles beat the Vikings already. Yeah, 24-7.
They did. They whooped them. The Vikings. In Philly, though.
I'm just going to say this. I'm going to say Vikings-Niners now, only because I've seen the Vikings firsthand beat the living crap out of a lot of teams, especially Packers week 1. I haven't seen how much damage Philly can do to Green Bay yet. So we'll check back in a few weeks after that disaster.
We'll see what happens this week because the Vikings got a real test. They got that AFC. They got them Bills this week.
Yeah, depends on Josh Allen's arm. It might not be that big of a challenge if he can't go.
We'll see.
That'll be a huge blow. It'll be interesting, but yeah, I'll stick with it. Niners, Vikings. I hope I'm wrong.
I'm rolling. Hey man, I'm playing a violin on the Titanic. I got the Bucks and the Niners.
All right. Well, at least we agree on one. You got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I feel like I might puke.
Well, before that, we'll wrap this one up. That'll be the wrap here on another episode of the 5th Quarter Sportscast. Download, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. If you want to interact with us, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, get us at 5th Q Sportscast, 5THQ Sportscast. We'll see where our bets and our picks here pan out in a couple weeks. We'll rehash this. Until then, we'll catch you on the next episode. Go watch some football, and we'll follow back up next week.
If ifs and buts were cocks and nuts, we'd all be getting gangbanged. See you next week.